Hi everyone, meteorologist Chad Evans here with a look at your daily weather forecast video, sponsored always by Trent Johnson State Farm. Trent is myagent.com. Thanks to Trent for all of his continued support. Northern Lights watch is up tonight. Big solar storm has come off the sun. We're going to have a total of about 3 big CMEs, or coronal mass ejections, here. And this one could bring the Northern Lights in tonight. Now, it's a little tedious in forecasting these. It has to do with how the charged particles are reacting with the Earth's magnetic field, and it's all about timing, because you can get the biggest storm during the day when you can't see the Northern Lights. But if we time it just right, we'll get them this evening, get them tonight again, just like last night. So watch this evening once that sun sets, and then getting in the evening hours and part of the overnight, and hopefully we'll get another big show. Again, this is a big storm. This one looked more intense than last night's, and the other storm we had before that produced all the vivid colors last night. But it's all about timing. We got to get that in here after sunset, and if that happens, the weather should cooperate. Skies should be mostly clear tonight. That for the wind and the much warmer weather to end this week and move into a near record warm Saturday. A few showers and thunder are ahead late in the weekend for a little bit of the time. Some showers and storms and a couple rounds next week, even some flakes. And then pre-Thanksgiving, colder weather with some snow showers. And then after a big warm up in early December, it looks much colder towards like after December 5th or 6th, and then into mid-December, with the risk of getting snowfall. Record cold this morning in Florida. This is where all the record warmth has been the past couple of days. But these random cold air events, like a big bowling ball coming out of the Arctic, again, that's part of the winter forecast. There will be multiple rounds of intense cold that goes pretty far southward. And these are largely due to an easterly QBO. And you're saying, what is an easterly QBO? I don't even know what that is. It basically refers to the winds near the ozone layer that circle the equator. And they're westerly. But if they weaken a little, sometimes they'll reverse and go easterly. They've gone easterly. And when you weaken and you go easterly, you get a better shot of getting polar vortex events, where you open the door to extremely cold air and you get 30s down to Lake Okeechobee in November, and you get mid-40s in Miami in November, which is a rare feat so early in the season. That's normally a December, January, February sort of thing. So when the easterly QBO supports that notion of 2 or 3 pretty intense cold events coming up for the winter for us, where we could drop well below zero, even 20 below zero. Also, Fenghuang made landfall in China. When you transport a big typhoon up into the Arctic, you have tremendous heat release into the upper troposphere and the stratosphere. And when you get warming in the stratosphere, you weaken the polar vortex, it opens up, and the cold air is dislodged. What this will do is bring a little colder weather, a little bit so next week and before Thanksgiving, but the bigger event, it's usually about 3 weeks after you get a big stratospheric warming event. I would say December, like after the 5th or 6th, and then in mid-December. That could be a pretty big cold outbreak for us. Also, we were in a warm phase of the Madden-Julian oscillation, and that concerns sea surface temperatures and pressure patterns in the Western Pacific and Indian Ocean. Phase 6 was warm. We then went to 7. Now we're going back to 6. So we were warm, went to cooler. We're going to go back to warm this weekend. We'll kind of flirt back and forth. And finally, we'll see a 7 to 8 push, which is a colder pattern with time. And also, it'll get a little wetter around here. We've got rainfall potential coming in next week, perhaps some decent soaking rain that's coming into the forecast. And then it'll get drier overall and colder with time into late November and December, but the snow risk will be going up. So you're saying, why are you throwing all that at me? That's a lot to take in. Just to give you some insight as to where I'm getting this information, what I'm thinking for the winter, but also over the next few weeks. Give you a little extra information. Today, just a few high, thin cirrus clouds. Look at this patch of snow. See that right there? The last of it's melting in far northwestern Newton County and far far northern Jasper County. Otherwise, the snow has melted. Highway 18 at I-65, 28 and 65 with temperatures that are running 51 to 58. Mid-50s Purdue Airport, we're 51 at Galveston. Just a few patches of high clouds tonight. To see the northern lights should be great. A lot of sun tomorrow with some patchy clouds. Same thing into Friday. You'll notice some patchy clouds at times, but much more in the way of sun than any clouds. So some nice bright weather is ahead. Now we look late weekend into next week. One little storm system passes through. The timing is difficult. It looks more and more like this front is going to come through late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, rather than Sunday itself. You see it kind of coming through right there. Some scattered showers, little thunder. Some showers and a couple thunderstorms come in early next week, and they'll probably have another system come in at the very end of the week and into the following weekend. And then behind that, here's your colder air coming in, and we'll get some snow showers after that. So here's your warmth this weekend. Gets a little colder after that, though, next week, before another surge comes in. And then behind that, much colder air comes in closer to Thanksgiving. And then here's your warm up in early December. We had just talked about very end of November into December. Warmth comes in, but look at this. This is the cold that will be discharged as the polar vortex loosens. A lot of it tied to Feng Wong, that typhoon that is out in the Pacific. So with time, the cold gets dislodged and temperatures way below normal after the 5th or 6th of December, especially in mid-December. It may be 2 rounds of Arctic air, and with that Arctic air coming in like this, we may see a storm form on the Arctic front, move our way, and that could bring accumulating snow. That wouldn't surprise me one bit coming up in December. So things, they're going to get wintry once again. After 28 for a low tonight, 25 to 30 looks good forecast-wide. Not as much wind as last night. If you were watching those northern lights last night, it's pretty windy during that time. 55 tomorrow, lots of sun, southwest breeze, a hair breezy at times, near 50 north to pushing 60 in the far south. 54 Frankfort, 58 Rockville, mid-50s Pine Village, and 52 at Logansport. Now Purdue's taking on Washington on Saturday. Kickoffs at 7 p.m. You know, the heaviest rain out there in the Seattle area is going to tend to be Friday night. Friday itself and Friday night. Then it becomes much more showery on Saturday. So just scattered showers around, 30% chance at kickoff, 35% halftime, but the coverage will start to increase with time. So by final score, the rain coverage is 45%, and then much more widespread rainfall, heavier rainfall on Sunday, steady temperatures in the mid-50s, and a wind out of the south. 71 Saturday. Look at that with all that wind. 64 on Friday, though. The record is 73 on Saturday, set 1956. A few showers, isolated thunder, mainly Sunday morning. The cooler Sunday, 54. A few showers Monday, some showers and thunder on Tuesday, 51 and 51 respectively. Colder Wednesday, some rain and snow showers, and then another round of warmth with showers and thunderstorms, and then turning sharply colder a week from this weekend.